The elevator. The last known footage of Elisa Lam was recorded on January 31st, 2013. A young woman alone inside a dimly lit elevator at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. For years, these images have echoed across the internet. Elisa stepping in and out of the elevator, pressing almost every button, hiding in the corner, and making strange hand movements into an empty hallway. These are the final, confirmed moments of her life. What you're about to see is not speculation, not theories, and not internet folklore. It is the timeline of what actually happened, based on official police reports, security footage, witness statements, and the investigation that followed. This is the last captured moment of Elisa Lam. Chapter 1. Arrival at the Cecil Hotel. On January the 28th, 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lam arrived at the Cecil Hotel during a solo trip through California. She was a student from Vancouver who loved blogging, traveling, and exploring cities on her own. The Cecil was cheap, but also infamous. Located near Skid Row, it had a long history of crime, violence, and disturbing incidents stretching back decades. Elisa initially shared a hostel-style room with other guests, but after reports of odd behavior, staff moved her into a private room. Still, she stayed in constant contact with her parents, calling, emailing, and updating them daily. Until January 31st, that was the last day they ever heard from her. When she didn't call home the next morning, her parents knew something was wrong. Chapter 2. The last footage. At 8:27 p.m. on January 31st, an elevator on the Cecil's 4th floor captured Elisa's final recorded movements. She steps inside quietly, wearing a red hoodie, black shorts, and sandals. She approaches the control panel and presses multiple buttons, almost the entire row. She steps back, waits. The door stays open. She leans forward, peeks into the hallway, then quickly jumps back as if startled by something unseen. Again, she waits. Again, the door refuses to close. She presses more buttons. A full sequence. Then steps out into the hallway, looking left, then right. Her posture grows tense, almost fearful. Elisa moves her hands in unusual fluid gestures. At first glance, it looks like she's communicating with someone, but there's no one in the hallway. Experts would later suggest these gestures resembled responses to internal stimuli, a symptom that can occur during severe bipolar episodes with psychotic features. After nearly 3 minutes of erratic and confused movements, she walks away from the elevator and disappears off camera. Seconds later, the elevator door closes and the elevator begins moving normally. This is the last recorded footage of Elisa Lam. Chapter 3. The search begins. When Elisa missed her call home on February 1st, her parents immediately contacted the LAPD. Officers arrived at the Cecil and began a search of the building. They checked the lobby, the hallways, the rooftop, stairwells, shared spaces, her room. A police dog searched several floors, including the one where Elisa was last seen. But the trail abruptly ended. As days passed, guests began to complain about odd water in their rooms, low pressure, dark, murky color, and a strange taste. Unbeknownst to them, Elisa had been missing for nearly 3 weeks. The truth was hidden above their heads, inside the hotel's rooftop water system. Chapter 4. Discovery on the roof. On February 19th, a maintenance worker climbed to the roof to inspect the 4 water tanks supplying the building. One tank's lid appeared slightly open. When he looked inside, he saw a body floating in the dark water. It was Elisa. Firefighters drained the tank and cut it open to remove her safely. The question investigators faced was immediate and haunting. How did she get into a locked water tank on a restricted roof? The rooftop door was locked and alarmed, but the fire escape staircase located outside the building could be accessed through certain windows. Anyone determined enough could climb up the metal ladders straight onto the roof and straight to the tanks. The autopsy report revealed no signs of assault, no defensive wounds, no drugs or alcohol, only prescription medication for bipolar disorder, but at levels suggesting she was not taking them consistently. The coroner ruled Elisa's death accidental drowning. But that answer did not explain the elevator footage, her behavior, or how she reached the tank alone. Chapter 5. What the investigation found. Detectives built a timeline based on evidence, witness statements, and the elevator video. 1. Elisa was behaving erratically that night. Her movements in the footage closely matched previous reports from roommates about unusual behavior. 2. She likely reached the roof through the fire escape. The hotel's exterior ladders provided a direct, unmonitored path. 3. She accessed the water tank alone. Each tank had a heavy metal lid. Difficult, but not impossible for a young adult to lift. 4. Investigators believe she climbed in during a severe episode. Her medication levels indicated she may not have taken enough of her prescribed treatment. In a state of acute disorientation or paranoia, she may have perceived the tank as a place to hide or escape from something imagined. Once inside, escape was nearly impossible. The smooth steel walls offered no grip, and the water level was too low to reach the top. Investigators found no evidence of another person involved and no sign of a struggle. The case was officially closed as an accident. Chapter 6. The elevator footage, which explained. The behavior of the elevator, especially the door refusing to close, became one of the most discussed mysteries, but investigations provided clear explanations. 1. The door hold button keeps the elevator open for up to 2 minutes. Elisa pressed that button early in the footage. 2. The elevator functioned normally after she stepped away. The moment she left the frame, the doors closed, and it began to move floor to floor. 3. No one else was in the hallway. Security cameras outside the elevator recorded no other person on the 4th floor during those moments. 4. Her hand gestures matched behavior seen during severe bipolar episodes. Mental health experts explained that individuals experiencing psychotic symptoms may respond to hallucinations, gesturing, speaking, or reacting to stimuli no one else can see. The footage was unsettling, but even more tragic when viewed through this lens. Chapter 7. Inside the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil's reputation intensified the public reaction. For decades, the hotel had been linked to murders, overdoses, serial killers, and unexplained deaths. These stories fueled online theories and speculation. But investigators found no connection between the hotel's dark past and Elisa's death. For them, the case was not supernatural, but the tragic consequence of a young woman in crisis in the worst possible environment. Chapter 8. The online theories. When the elevator footage was released to the public, it went viral worldwide. Millions of people tried to interpret her movements. Thousands offered theories. Someone was following her. The elevator malfunctioned. A hotel employee was involved. She was drugged. A paranormal encounter. A government cover-up. None of these theories aligned with the evidence. The LAPD announced publicly there was no sign of homicide and no indication of any other person entering the water tank. The truth was far less mysterious and far more heartbreaking. Chapter 9. The reality behind the mystery. The confirmed facts paint a clear picture. Elisa struggled with bipolar disorder. Her medication levels were inconsistent. Her behavior in the elevator matched a psychological episode. The roof was accessible through the fire escape. She reached the water tank alone. She entered it alone. She became trapped with no way out. Her death was not caused by violence, not by supernatural forces, and not by a hidden conspiracy. It was a tragic accident, shaped by mental illness, isolation, and environment. A young woman lost in a moment of profound confusion. When you strip away the theories, the drama, and the mythology, you're left with a human story of vulnerability, misunderstanding, and tragedy. Chapter 10. The Final Moments. The elevator footage remains haunting, not because of mystery, but because of what it reveals. A young woman in distress, disoriented, afraid, and alone. Moments later, she walked out of the frame and into a sequence of events that no one witnessed and no one could stop. These are the last captured moments of Elisa Lam, a story that became one of the most viewed pieces of security footage in history, and a reminder of the silent battles many people face. Her final appearance on camera is not a horror story, but a human one.